Good Tuesday morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Looking at the threat for severe weather today, we've got a pretty good risk here in the yellow area you see across the Carolinas. In fact, everywhere you see this yellow, that is the slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. Basically, slight means just an elevated or above average risk for severe storms this afternoon. And pretty much everywhere you see yellow. As I zoom into the Carolinas, you can see it includes the entire area. And you look at the tornado threat, this is the 2% probability of tornadoes. There is a small probability up here in eastern Virginia and even parts of North Carolina, though the percentage is very low. The bigger percentage is for damaging wind gusts. You see this kind of brown color? This is basically a 30% probability of damaging winds, and that is primarily going to be our concern as we go through the day today. I'm going to show you why. First thing we're going to look at is turn the satellite imagery on. You can see mostly sunny skies in the Carolinas, but look at this mess up to the north. Basically what we have going on here is a weak front on the edge of the big ridge of high pressure, which is sitting over the middle of the country. When I turn the temperatures on, right there over the middle of the country, this is the center of our ridge. Big 500 millibar ridge sitting right there, and on the edge, we've got this corridor of strong winds and disturbances which are rotating up and over the ridge. This is sometimes referred to as the ring of fire because you get storms of fire up on the edge, and that's exactly the case today. We actually have an MCS going on right now in parts of Illinois. You can actually see some of the outflow pushing out of it, and that's going to be the concern later today. You can see the warnings which are already in place in parts of up in Indiana, Ohio, and even Pennsylvania. This is all going to move to the south and east later this afternoon. It's going to move into an atmosphere across Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina that is going to be very, very juicy. We're going to have all the ingredients we're going to need to get some severe weather across the area. When I look at the temperatures, I more importantly want to look at the dew points. Look at these surface dew points in the Carolinas. You're looking at mid to even in some cases upper 70-degree dew points, so a very juicy atmosphere across our region. When I look at some of the other parameters, we'll look at the Cape. This is that thunderstorm fuel. Look at what's out ahead of that thunderstorm complex in Indiana and Ohio. You look here right now across areas of Virginia and North Carolina especially. See those bright reds? That's basically 4,000 to 5,000 Cape. That is huge amounts of Cape. In fact, if I look over Charlotte, I'll toggle that. That's about 4,500, and this bright kind of white, that's about 5,000. So there is a ton of instability across the area. We'll look at some shear here. This is the 1 kilometer storm relative helicity. You can see why we have that little bit of a tornado threat up here in Virginia. There's a little bit more of twisting of the winds. Your enhanced storm relative helicity is pretty strong across Virginia into parts of North Carolina. Again, this is early in the day, so we've got plenty of stuff to feed off. STP, or significant tornado parameter, we do have some here in eastern North Carolina and even parts of West Virginia. So two things we'll watch carefully is whether that starts to increase or go down. And again, the dew points, obviously, we've got plenty of moisture across the area. 500 millibar vorticity. You can see the vorticity associated with this MCS over parts of Pennsylvania, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. This is going to be moving down to Virginia and North Carolina. So by later this afternoon, I fully expect us to have some pretty good storms going on. In fact, let's turn the radar off and satellite, and let's look at some of the model data. The one model piece of model data I was looking at yesterday was the NAM4 by about 18Z this afternoon. It shows that complex of storms moving into Virginia, and look at the line that it shows forming in Virginia and West Virginia and then moving to the south and east. A little farther north than yesterday's run. Actually shows two main clusters. Looks like another MCS forming back here in Kentucky by this evening, one forming in eastern North Carolina. And then as we go into the evening hours by 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10, 11, 12, midnight, it looks like we could have an active overnight across the entire area. So we'll keep an eye on this as we go through the afternoon, but all the ingredients are there for a very, very active afternoon here in the Carolinas. Stay tuned to News Channel 36, WCNC.com. My Twitter and Facebook feeds will keep things up to date. Expect storms to start firing up east of the mountains here. I would say close to noon, right along the ridge tops, and then by 2 or 3, they'll start moving east. But we could have several waves of strong to severe storms throughout the afternoon.